CarLifestyle podcast
with host
Seth Rose from Exotics Rally,
TMINUS, Gabe Florido
from CarLifestyle.
Are you ready?
No,
Why not?
I'm ready.
You sure?
Because I know you already hit record.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to podcast numero cinco? Cinco for the Spanish impaired.
Cinco, like
Well,
drowning,
drowning
in a lake.
That
Cinco.
would actually be English impaired, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You're just impaired, period.
I am impaired. So, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am here today with my co-host, T-Minus.
Oh, should I say
T-Minus is in the
You
house.
know what it is? I wasn't ready. I didn't know how to address the Lord.
Yes, well, from now on,
Yeah.
I will be known as either your Lord, your Lordship, or Lord Seth. Recently, a friend of mine
Who's also impaired.
who is from Scotland contacted me and asked me if I wanted to become a lord. And this whole big thing with family and property, and at the end of the day, I am now going to have a lordship.
Yeah, you can have one too for $19.95, as seen on TV.
Yeah, well, you know what? After that happened, I did see a lot of stuff on the internet that you could buy a lordship and buy this and buy that. So, I don't know. I just say, hey, if you could buy one, more power to you. If not, whatever the case may be, whether it's a gift or not, I'm now a lord. So I don't expect people to, though, actually address me as lord. But
Yes, you do.
I am supposed to be getting documentation to actually change my driver's license and my passport to Lord Seth.
Unbelievable. This guy's going to be the first Jewish knight.
Well, whatever you want to call it. I mean, look, if you want to be one of my disciples, maybe we'll make you the court jester.
Oh, yeah, that's so original.
Put little bells on your feet and all, and you could just be...
Oh, you're going to tell everybody about your fantasies.
Oh, no, not my fantasies. It could be your reality.
Oh, yeah. For the right price, I'll make it happen.
All right, well, again, welcome back, everybody, to podcast number 5. This week, it's going to be myself, Seth Rose, and T-Minus as our third wheel. Gabe is not around since I think his other half is off from work this week, so his time is completely occupied. With that said, let's move on to a recap of the last podcast. In case you all didn't hear it, go download it now. Just keep in mind, everybody, our podcasts are free. There's no reason not to download it. Listen to it 5 minutes at a time, a half hour at a time, whatever it may be. I mean, we usually try to stick to about an hour worth of original,
Original content.
Yeah, content, so that, we don't absorb your whole life up. And you can easily listen to it in 2 sittings when you're commuting somewhere.
Yeah,
so
honestly, to listen to it while you're driving is awesome. Because you forget about all the idiots on the road, and how terrible this traffic is. And so it's nice. It's like you get to concentrate and listen to it and learn about, your hosts and what's really going on.
I mean, I think the best time to listen to it is while you're driving. It definitely, for me, it makes sense.
It also makes for a very romantic soundtrack if you and, your girlfriend are not having a good night. You put on the podcast, really sets the tone.
Oh, is that what it is?
I mean, it could, yeah.
You could really get into the vibe.
Yeah, instead of like FaceTiming your friends, you can, listen to the podcast while you kiss your significant other on the neck.
Okay, with that, our last podcast featured Ed Bolian. Now, if some of you don't know, Ed Bolian, not only was it a great experience for us to go take a little drive down to Atlanta to see him, but we also had the opportunity to interview him in his home and discuss with him his world record of the coast-to-coast transcontinental drive from New York City to Redondo Beach, California in 28 hours and 50 minutes, which up until last week was the most incredible time anybody has ever done. Then last week, while we were in the midst of the launch of our podcast, it just hit the airwaves. People were downloading, commenting on it. All of a sudden, I get a phone call from Ed who says, "Wow, I just heard something incredible." I said, "Okay, what's that?" Now, before I even go into it, this whole topic for the past week, T-Minus has looked at me like, why do you even care? Why are you being so silly about it? But we'll get to the reason why I care. And so Ed calls me and he says, well, I just got word that somebody broke the record, not by a little, but by a landslide. Now, Ed Bolian had previously broken the record by a landslide. And for his to be broken again by a landslide is something that's almost unfathomable. I mean, they were claiming 26 hours and 28 minutes, which is absolutely crazy. They said they averaged 108 miles an hour. They said that they fueled on the side of the road like a NASCAR race team, like a pit stop. They didn't even pull off the highway. They just pulled to the side of the road and had fuel tanks waiting for them. They were claiming that they had 5 spotter planes, up to 30 off-duty police officers assisting, and over 80 people to make this happen altogether. And the most
Don't forget.
the most incredible part
Right.
of it, right? I'm getting to that.
Don't forget.
This was the most incredible part, which T-Minus loved the most.
Absolutely.
They claim to have done this in an Infiniti Q50 that was modified with a complete 2014 Nissan GTR drivetrain, and that it had dual steering controls, because the Q50 is one of the only cars, or it could be the only car, that is an actual drive-by-wire and steer-by-wire car. What that means is there's no mechanicals involved. There's a backup mechanical, but for all intents and purposes, it's all done by electronics that when you turn the wheel, the front wheels turn back and forth. So they claim to have put a right-hand drive and a left-hand drive, a right-hand drive section from a crashed car from like Indonesia or something like that, some third world country, in a left-hand drive car. So in effect, you had identical halves, all operational, with a toggle switch to go from left to right, so they would not actually have to stop and switch drivers in the seat. I mean, for what it was described as, it was an easy $1 million to $1.5 million worth of preparation, logistics to execute this incredible feat. Now, this whole time, I was going back and forth with Ed quite a bit, trying to decipher all the different data that was put out there, and to see if this could actually happen. Now, this was announced on March 31st. Right away, people started calling April Fools, but it was released on March 31st. So then we get to about 2 days later, where it was finally announced that it was a complete Photoshop job on the navigation unit that Alex Roy was holding up, and it was a total hoax. And I have to say that I was kind of glad that it was a hoax, because, listen, I've been toying with the idea of possibly giving it an attempt myself, but after Ed did it in 28 hours and 50 minutes, I said, nah, that's going to be almost, he literally had the perfect storm.
Right.
I mean, as he described in the podcast, they got very lucky. They hit no traffic.
No crazy weather.
No bad weather. No crazy problems with the car. I mean, they literally had the perfect storm.
Right.
It
No
worked.
cops. Nothing.
Right.
Crazy.
And for that to be duplicated again is I would say relatively hard.
Next to impossible.
And when Alex Roy claimed that he did this, I was taken back. In fact, I actually spoke to Alex, and I asked him, and he said to me, he goes, well, I have to be honest with you, Seth. Let's just say if I had done it, I can tell you this, I would never announce it, and I don't know why these guys feel the necessity to announce it prior to the 1-year statute of limitations. So I said, okay, well, that makes sense. And that kind of made me think, okay, he didn't do it. And then when he announced it, he actually sent me a text message, which I thought was nice of him. He sent me a text message saying, I'm sorry that I lied to you, but, it was us. And then, of course, 2 days later, everything gets retracted, and they say that it was a total April Fool's joke, which certainly pissed off quite a few people out there. And I know some people were actually very disappointed about it. Ed, the whole time, held his composure, and he was trying to debunk it, and he successfully did. Just about 4 hours before it was announced, he had sent me a text message with a GPS showing that he did it in 24 hours or something like that, and they figured out how they could debunk it and program the GPS and have some fun with Photoshop. But then it was announced, and like I said, it was retracted, and it was probably one of the largest April Fool's jokes in the automotive community and the underground transcontinental world, and it definitely threw people for a loop for a couple of days. So this whole time, T-Minus, who hasn't even said a word now...
No, I'm going to say a word because I'm going to do my introduction.
Always says to me...
You up in this motherfucker?
All right, so T-Minus has been drinking again while doing the podcast.
Yes,
so
Seth was very nice to donate this Stoli Elite, which I have now mixed with sugar-free Red Bull, because we all know I don't need any more sugar.
Yes, so, he will be slowly getting more boisterous as the podcast continues. We're now 10 minutes in, and he's just starting to loosen up. So that was the April Fool's joke. T-Minus the whole time was like, why don't you shut the fuck up about this thing? Who really cares?
Yeah, like who really gives a shit?
Who's this? Who's that? But it turns out that it is very relevant amongst a lot of gearheads.
I think he was on somebody's podcast and said that he had done it and stuff like that, and they were very into it. And turns out that this one giant elaborate hoax, and that's pretty relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. And, so I'm sure I'll be talking to Alex in the future, and we'll get more of the elaborate hoax and how long it took them to plan it. And it definitely is. It was interesting. They definitely screwed with a lot of people, and a lot of people are upset, and a lot of people are relieved at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ed took it really well. I think that he was like... I think he was impressed by it,
He was impressed. I think deep down inside he was a little like shaken, like, shit, I hope somebody really didn't beat me that bad.
Totally.
Excuse me. See, when I go to take a drink of water, T-Minus should talk, but that's okay.
I should talk. You know what it is? I'm so stuck looking at Ryan Turk's new livery on his new FRS for the 2015 season. I was stuck. I was really like... it's like the reminiscent colors, and sorry, I don't mean to go off on a tangent here, but it's the reminiscent colors of the Iron Man Stewart's trophy truck back in the days when he did the Baja, I think it was the Baja 5000.
Oh, is that what they were going for? Or?
No, basically, it's the TRD colors, which is Toyota Racing
Division,
Development,
yeah.
right? And it's like a reversal of his older livery in just a new form. And the car's white this year, which I think is outstanding.
The car's hot. I mean, it's got the full rolled fenders with the flares and everything.
Right, the Rocket Bunny 2 kit.
Is that what it is? Rocket Bunny? I never even heard of Rocket Bunny. What is Rocket Bunny?
It's like, as far as I know, and maybe I'm wrong, it's a derivative of Liberty Walk. There's Liberty Walk body kits, and then there's Rocket Bunny. They're both out of Japan, exclusively out of Japan. They have to be imported
Liberty
here.
Walk's out of Japan?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just a West Coast thing.
No, West Coast got it first because they debuted at SEMA for the United States. But they've been doing body kits on Lamborghinis for the last 10 years.
Gotcha. So you learn things every day. See, I didn't know about that, but I will tell you that I saw the picture of it today on Instagram, and Ryan's got the matching uniform and everything. Right. It looks really sweet. We wish him the best of luck in this season.
This is going to be his winningest season.
The season started already, correct?
Yes, it starts this weekend.
Gotcha.
In Long Beach, California. They're doing media days, and I think that tomorrow and Friday are probably qualifying, and then Saturday, Sunday's the... but I could be wrong.
Okay.
I know they were doing media day yesterday.
Yeah, because I saw he's been posting a lot, so I'm sure that's...
right, and he also has an anti-lag system in his car this year.
Really?
And a sequential manual gear shift.
Yeah, well, I mean, the car's pretty sick. I've been following along a bit on Instagram. He does a lot of hands-on work himself.
Yes, he does.
He definitely gets grimy in there with the grease and turns some wrenches, which is pretty
there's
cool.
no, he's not sitting in director's chair and giving orders. This guy's changing transmissions and doing wiring and, helped stroke the 2JZ that's in it. And
which, I think that's important and it's awesome. And, it's almost... And I'm to a certain extent, I'm kind of jealous of that. Not that I've ever been a race car driver or anything like that, but I've done my share of the bull runs, and had I had more knowledge of actually what went into my cars that were built, it would be a lot easier to troubleshoot. God forbid you get stuck or if something happens, because there are so many of these drivers who are very capable drivers, but they don't know the first thing about a car. And it brings me back to like that movie Days of Thunder. I was actually watching it last night. That's a great movie.
It is,
Tom
yeah.
Cruise.
Tom Cruise, right.
And he's like, so the gas is on the right and the brake is on the left, or what's that third pedal? And at one point in the movie, he was kind of serious because he went from like, I think doing like dirt oval racing into like, NASCAR racing. Now, of course, it's a movie. It's fictitious. It's, nothing. But there are a lot of drivers.
Depict real life, yeah.
Right, but there are a lot of drivers who have no clue whatsoever. They know when,
right.
when the light
and
turns green to mash the throttle.
They also have that feeling of entitlement, because they are a professional driver that somebody else should be working on their cars.
Oh, absolutely. And they have all these sponsors and this and that.
Right.
And all they have to do is just point the car in that direction and steer and
That's
mash
it.
the throttle and go.
They take a plane to the race, they put on their suit, they do the race, they speak with some fans, and they leave. Ryan Turk is all around hands-on.
Yeah, which I think that's great. I commend him for that. I think that's an awesome thing to be. I mean, I know I've seen him a couple of times out there with the cars, and look, he's got grease on him for a reason. It's because he's hands-on.
Yeah, you've been in the car with him. He took you for a ride in Englishtown in Club Loose.
He did. He took me for a ride. Was it in my own car? Was it in his car?
I don't know if it was your 240, because Seth did have a 240 at one time.
I did. I'll admit it.
He did.
Which is now, the person who bought it actually turned it into like a full-out drift car.
Full-on drift car, yeah. With a LS1 in it now.
Yeah,
or LS2.
Actually, no, Ryan took me around in one of his cars. What do they call those cars? The
240s?
Yeah, no, like his own car.
Oh, the demo cars, the missile car.
Missile car.
Right.
Why do they call it a missile car? I don't even know anything about this stuff. Right?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't know either why they call it a missile.
Is it because they just beat the crap out of it and if it blows up, it's a missile?
As a matter of fact, I think that is what it is. Believe it or not, I think that's what it is.
I mean, it's
because there's nothing pretty about them. It's to enhance driver technique.
Right. It's just right.
And to have some fun.
So, yeah, he took me for a ride now. And as soon as I got out, I was like, wow, I could probably build one of these. This would be cool. And just like the idiot that I am, I go out, I find a 240, I buy it, and I was going to molest it and do all sorts of crazy things to it. And then I wound up losing interest, and that went out the door and we sold it. But, so that was Ryan Turk in the livery, and that's really cool. Follow him online. His Instagram is Ryan Turk. It's RyanTuerck. He's also Twitter, Facebook. Most of the world is now on Instagram, so follow along.
Right,
you'll be able to
Ryan
follow
Turk
the season.
on Instagram.
Yeah, you'll be able to follow the whole drift season and his accomplishments, and we look forward to having him on the podcast soon.
And we support him at CarLifestyle. We support him in all his endeavors.
Yeah, and he supports us, and
he does.
TMINUS happens to be very close friends with him, and that's how I was introduced to him, and we've had a great time just kicking it with him. He's cool.
He is.
Yeah, he took my spiker on a crazy video, and we did the slingshot, and we had a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll catch up with him on the circuit and do a podcast with him.
Right, yeah. As a matter of fact, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll head out to one of the Formula D runs and do a live podcast at Formula D.
As long as you're buying, I'm flying.
Sounds like a plan, right? Sounds like a plan.
You don't fly though, right?
I hate flying. I'm like Mr. T. Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to drug you.
Yeah. Just drug me, put me in like a dog carrier crate or a horse or whatever.
A horse.
I'm big, so and that's it. Just throw me in the plane, pick me up at luggage, and that's that.
Maybe I could put you on like U-Ship on that Transport Wars.
Maybe you could put me on like Ply Car.
Well, I could do like that U-Ship, like that Transport Wars on TV.
Right.
I'll just put a picture of you and say I need to transport you from New York to like, I
need to transport one T- from coast to coast. How much?
It's like Long Beach, California. How much would it be? And they have to bid on it. Yeah, we'll start the bidding off at like $1,800, and then they bid it down. I'll see how cheap we can get it done for.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm in. We're going to post that up. Look for it on U-Ship.
Yeah, we'll take me to like an easy chair or something with a cup holder. I'll have a glass of vodka and a chair. And I'll be on this transport, and I'll be in California a couple days.
That's all you need.
That's it.
Do you need Wi-Fi?
Chilling. I'll get myself a bedpan. I'll be out. It'll be a wrap. Yeah, I need Wi-Fi. I mean, honestly, how else? How am I going to download porn? Right.
So that's how we're going to get him out to Cali to go see Ryan Turk. Well, anyway, so last week I had the opportunity, because of working with CarLifestyle with Gabe and TMINUS, to actually get a hold of some press passes. And the first day of the New York International Auto Show was actually on April Fool's Day. And we went there at the crack of dawn, all three of us.
Literally, 5:30 a.m.
5:30 a.m. I was on time. They were late as usual. And
We were fashionably late. You don't have a lot of fashion. We were trying to extend you some. And that's Seth drinking. You hear him juggling it down? Yeah. Yeah.
love my water.
Yeah, that's
So
what he
now-
tells you. It's water. Yeah.
So 5:30 a.m. we got up. We got into the city. We paid an astronomical amount for parking. We went to New York International Auto Show, and I was complaining a lot that it was so early, and I can't believe we're going in this early. But I have to say, after that experience, I am thankful we got there as early as we did. It was the right move, because you actually have an opportunity to see all the cars, the displays, when there is nobody else around.
Right, because the auto show throws a press breakfast, and all of press is there basically from either if they're checking in a will call or if they're there about 7 a.m. all the way to about 8 o'clock. So everybody takes advantage of that and they get set up. And we had the time we used the time anyway, to peruse all the different models at our own leisure.
Yeah, we actually didn't take advantage of the breakfast. Instead, we decided to go and take photos without them being obstructed, which was the smartest thing we could have done. Even though I was only sporting my iPhone 6, T-Minus and Gabe, they had all their camera equipment. And if you don't know much about T-Minus that you've learned throughout the weeks, but he has started to really carve out an amazing portfolio of pictures. His photography has climbed into the ranks of, not just professional, but above professional. And he captured some amazing pictures. Gabe did as well. And even with my iPhone, I captured some pictures. I mean, you can check out our Instagrams, and they're on there. And we got, a up close and personal look at a lot of the different new cars, which we talked about, in the past from Geneva. But I have to say that between seeing them online and then seeing them in person, you really get a grasp of and a feel of the actual car. I mean, the first car we saw when we first walked in, who probably had one of the biggest displays there, and they've come a long way, is Ford.
Yes.
And the very first car, of course, that we were attracted to was the new Ford GT40.
That's correct. I thought you were going to say the RS because the two of us were there for that RS.
The RS was right next to it.
Right, but it was so overshadowed by that Ford GT.
I was so drawn to the Ford GT. I mean, when the Ford GT, it's a very historic car and platform. And everybody knows that, 40 inches, this and that. And the
40 inches?
Yeah, the roof line is 40 inches. That's why it's a GT40.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
From floor to the roof line, it's 40 inches from the ground.
Wow.
That's what you never knew that?
No, and is that the lowest roof line in exotic cars?
That I couldn't tell you. I don't know that much.
Because the Countach has got to be short.
I'm sure it is, but this is why it was called the GT40.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's cool.
So that was the reason why they called it the GT40. The last ones that came out in 2005, those are really cool cars. They've held their value very well. And this one has definitely made a mark and made waves because they said they were never going to produce another GT.
Right.
They had claimed that for a long time. Then all of a sudden, so many diehard people wanted it, and the other ones were holding their value and skyrocketing. I've seen some of them for 300, 400, 500,000.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this one hits the market, but people are screaming about one thing about the car:
Power plant.
the power plant. It has a next generation twin turbo 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6. Claims that it'll produce more than 600 horsepower, but everybody's saying that a supercar like this needs an 8, 10, 12. How many supercars are there with a 6? You've got the GTR, right? You've got this.
You've got the M4. Maybe that's not a supercar.
I wouldn't go out of the way to call it a supercar.
Right, it's not a supercar. It's not even an exotic.
I think the BMW M1 was a 6-cylinder.
No, I'm pretty sure that was a 10 or 12. Pretty positive.
really?
Yeah, let's look it up.
It may have been.
We're talking 1M or M1?
M1.
Yeah, M1 I don't think was.
The M1 was a really cool car.
Let's look it up right now.
We're going to check that out. But in the meantime, this Ford GT has got incredible lines. I mean, it is such a wide stance. It's got those open, almost like pass-throughs on the rear wing area and the taillights and the exhaust outlets. It's absolutely just, I don't know. The car just totally turns me on. And it looked great. I'm looking up the BMW M1 right now.
So am I, right?
And it's a
3.5. Wow.
I was right.
Wow, 3.5 liter six-cylinder.
Thank
Who
you.
would have known?
All right. So
there you go. That lesson learned. Don't
Lesson
contest. Don't contest against Seth.
I know a little something about my historic
Apparently
cars.
he does.
So
That's
anyway,
what happens when you're born in the 20s.
Right. So anyway, that was the Ford GT. It was really cool. We got some really good shots of it. And one of the photographers who's doing some work for CarLifestyle took an incredible shot of it, which we now have on our cell phones.
Right, Cedric Melbourne, who's a friend of ours and is, right, as Seth said, a photographer for CarLifestyle.
Right, he's like an associate photographer, and he's taking some amazing pictures. And in the middle of the show, he was like tethered to his iPhone through the Wi-Fi on his camera. He took a shot of that car, sent it to us, and it was just amazing. We all had to post it. But the whole Ford display in general, between the Ford GT, the Mustang GT350, and the Ford Focus RS, those three have made such a tidal wave. I mean, not many manufacturers have come out with three impressive cars like that. I mean, Chevy, yeah, you've got the Vet, and you got a variation of Z06. You've got McLaren, okay, so they came out with the 570. You've got, all these different, Acura with the NSX, Toyota with the FT1, but nobody has come out with three incredible platforms in one shot.
Right.
They have. The only problem I see with that Ford GT is that they originally said they were going to try to hit the $250,000 mark for the car. Now they're talking about
overshot that big.
$400,000.
Which now people are again screaming about. But the looks of it alone could support that money.
I don't think so.
No?
I wouldn't spend $400,000 on it. At the end of the day, I keep saying to myself, hold on, a twin turbo V6? Isn't that what the Taurus SHO has?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
EcoBoost.
EcoBoost.
I think you can get the Lincoln MKX with that engine. Not that it's going to be 600 horsepower.
Right, and it's not built by Ford Racing Motorsports and.
But then again, when the original Ford GT came out, not the original, but the Ford GT, the second generation,
right?
I would think it would be called in 2005. When that came out, those were sticker priced at about $159,000 originally. And that was a 5.4 liter supercharged.
Oh, it was supercharged.
Yeah, which is fine.
Right.
When you're at that price point, you're talking $400,000.
Right, but if one, it has the style. Two, if it puts out the numbers that $400,000 cars are going for, then your only complaint really is, if I'm paying this kind of money, I need an 8-cylinder, I need a 10-cylinder, I need a 12.
I don't disagree with you, but I also think that the whole supercar technology should be, 8, 10, 12, cylinders. It should be a big monster engine. They claim this car, I haven't heard it. I don't know if anybody has, but they claim it sounds like an F1 race car. I don't know if it should, though. I think this is more of an iconic American supercar. And that should be more muscle. But in any event, I'm really looking forward to see what kind of numbers this car puts down. I want to see if they actually produce it because right now it's just rumor. Nobody said they're actually going to produce it.
True.
So, but we do know that the Mustang, it's out. I think it looks good. People are, crashing on it for the way that it looks. I think it's a good looking car. The Ford Focus RS we talked about in the past weeks.
We love it.
We love it, love it, love it. Big thumbs up.
Absolutely.
We're like Siskel and Ebert. I give it a big thumbs up.
A big thumbs up. That's
all right,
it.
So we got 2 thumbs up on the Ford Focus RS. Now we stumbled across this little car, and I had one in '93. I have to admit it. And we stumbled across a car, and this manufacturer, for it seems a little strange to me because they've never been a real popular car.
But what you don't know is that they have come up big time in not only stance, car community, but the drift community.
Yeah.
For a grassroots car. Right.
Absolutely. And what's funny about it is they were a branch of Ford for a long time. Ford owned them for quite many years, and that's Mazda. Now Gabe has a Mazda. Gabe, what do you? Oh, no, Gabe's not here. Gabe has two Mazdas actually, a Mazda 3 and a Mazda 6.
No, he has two Mazda 3s.
Oh, they're both Mazda 3s.
One is his wife's.
Right, one's a hatchback and one's a sedan.
Which looks phenomenal.
And, I really urge everybody, seriously, I want you to go to Gabe's personal Instagram.
Which is at Gabe, Gabe _
right.
CarLifestyle. So that's Gabe _ CarLifestyle.
So I suggest that you go check it out and look at this car, because I swear, sometimes I see it, I think it's a Lexus with a Mazda badge on it. I really do. It's a really impressive car. I actually just had it in my shop over at Art of Rap. We did some vinyl work to it, and we pimped it out a little more for him. But it only gets better looking every time I see it.
Seriously.
So,
and it's got heads-up display. It's got black leather with red stitching.
I didn't realize they had heads-up display until his wife's car was by me yesterday to get some vinyl work.
Right.
And I went to move it. I'm like, come on, heads-up display?
And the little, fighter jet window that comes up. It's sick.
I don't know where Mazda came from all of a sudden.
Seriously, and the light package looks amazing in the front and the back.
Yeah.
The color is incredible in Gabe's car.
It's a really good looking car. I wouldn't hesitate to get one as a daily.
Not at all. And it's that Sky Active technology, which is like 40 miles a gallon.
Miles to the gallon.
Ridiculous.
Where do you go wrong with that car? You just
Seriously.
don't. And the price point, they're relatively inexpensive.
Right. Super inexpensive.
So with that, we actually stumbled across the new Mazda Miata. And I have to say that it's very reminiscent of a BMW Z4. It looks very, very cool. It has a lot of the, styling cues of all the other Mazdas. And it just works. It's a little car, yes. And, some people might say, oh, it's a girly car, it's dinky, it's this, it's that. But I have to tell you, it really, truly looks good.
It's like the way the Boxster has looked over the years, and then the Cayman came out and it was like a more aggressive look, and now the Cayman GT4, and you're like, oh, that's hot. That's the way this new Miata is. The new Miata is super aggressive in the front. It has a much smaller stance or profile, as far as viewpoint, not necessarily, the dimensions of the car. But it's a hot little car. Like, would I drive it? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's still rear-wheel drive.
Right, rear-wheel drive. It's going to handle incredible, because that's what the Miatas are known for.
It still comes in stick.
Right.
And, listen, let's face the facts. Go to any racetrack around the country that's I'm not talking about, Poconos or something like that. I'm talking about go to any of these racing clubs.
Right.
And you see some of the guys that have the most expensive cars in the world, and what do they have as a track car?
Miata.
Yep.
All day long, because there's something called momentum racing. And it is crazy. We're talking, these cars, maybe, because they're spec Miatas, maybe they top out at 120 miles an hour. Well, to win the race, you have to be faster than everybody else's car that tops out at 120 miles an hour. So what does that mean? That means you never lift in the turns. That means you let the momentum carry you into the turns, and you stay on the gas at 120 in the turns.
Monticello Motor Club, the track record is held in a spec Miata.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a spec Miata, and then I think one of those Radicals. But yeah,
wow.
The spec Miata.
Wait. The spec Miata beat out the Radical.
From when I remember, I think the best lap time was in a spec Miata.
That's so crazy. And by spec, we don't mean somebody that has $300,000 into their Miata. We mean, the interior has been pulled out, basically there's a very minimal interior to begin with. But everything has to be to spec. So it wouldn't be like you added this crazy, 76 turbocharger, or you didn't, or you built the motor and you got titanium rods and pistons, and everything has to be exactly the way the class allowances are, so that everybody else's Miata is exactly the same. So really what you're testing is driver skill, and that's who's winning races.
Well, it's definitely a cool car. They haven't actually launched the new one, but it's still rear-wheel drive. It's only 2,300 pounds. It's got a 50-50 weight distribution, 155 horsepower, 148 foot-pounds of torque. So, I mean, it's actually, it's a cool little pocket rocket. I had one back in 1993. I thought it was cool. I mean, it's such
Yeah, but Seth is, his taste is,
I mean, it's such an easy car to toss around. That was kind of an in-between car, long story. But it served its purpose at the time. And it's a convertible. So I thought that was pretty cool that we stumbled across that. We stumbled across something else that is totally a prototype. But I'm actually looking it up right now because I am praying they are going to make this.
That they release it, absolutely.
Because I will be first online to buy it.
Yeah, it was sick. I saw it and I was like, I need this.
It's a total concept car. It's called a Kia Trackster.
That's one word, Trackster.
Yeah, well, it's like a track, and then it has a little, I don't know.
Like a different
apostrophe
font.
stir.
Yeah.
And it's an actual Kia Soul Coupe, a two-door Soul with a ridiculous body kit, wheels. It's got a whole makeover with the front grille. It's
got a vented hood.
It's got a vented hood, which leads me to believe that more than likely
it'll be turbo.
It'll be a turbo. It's saying that it's going to be 247 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and a 6-speed short-throw manual transmission. Now, of course, it's complete prototype, concept car, but I'll tell you, Google it. It's cool as fuck.
It really is. It has huge brakes. I mean, we're talking Brembo 6-pot in the front. I mean, I don't even understand how you would have to have 600 or 700 horsepower to really warrant brakes that big. And this thing is like, I don't know. It looks like there's 2 hamsters and a wheel in the engine compartment. It's tiny.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool. I mean, I can't see those ham stars rolling around in the damn thing. But,
Right. Ham stars? Is that what they are?
That's what they call them. Instead of hamsters, they call them ham stars.
How do you know this?
Come on, man. Everybody knows that.
Bro,
party rocking in the house tonight. And,
I know. I ignore that because I feel like that's the music you listen to at Sugar.
Sugar's out of business. Anyway,
because you left.
I stopped going.
That's it. Seth Rose, the man at the $10,000 table. Mr. VIP over here. But he's broke.
I went broke. They went out of business.
Yeah. You went broke. I know. Why don't you tell everybody how many cars you ordered at the show?
I'm going to decline to answer that one. I have to think about it. The question of how many cars I bought at the show. Well, we pulled a little April Fool's prank ourselves. And I posed next to a Rolls-Royce Ghost, which I had been shopping for a pre-owned one at one point. I had found one for a pretty good number down in Florida, but that didn't work out for me. But I posed next to it and said, picked out all the options, ready to roll, snapped a picture. And I put up, if anybody wants to be a driver, I'm looking for a driver. I got to tell you, I started getting inquiries from all over the place saying, I'll drive for you. Are you serious? Are you this, are you that? Now, my whole take is a Rolls-Royce Ghost, you could drive. A Phantom, you should be driven in.
Right.
And that's just my personal opinion with that. But, I'm going to get back to something that I ordered in a little bit because it was definitely unique. But
wait, is it on this list?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not know about that?
I don't know about a lot of things that you order. Like planes and boats.
Oh, anyway, getting back to the cars that we saw. A couple of companies had a couple of really cool cars on display as usual, but there are 2 cars that keep pissing me off at all these auto shows. One is the Toyota FT1, the other is the Acura NSX. Now, they've been showing these cars, 2 years, 3 years?
No. The NSX they showed last year, but it didn't have the rims on it, wasn't complete. The FT1, the FT1 they also showed last year.
Yeah, but I think that's been more than.
And wait, I was told Jay Leno either has one, ordered one, or showed up to Cars and Coffee with one.
I know that
in Irvine,
somebody showed up to Cars and Coffee and one. It was in a trailer, and then they drove it through the parking lot, so it was actually a running.
Right, it's
model.
like a full-on model.
But the problem I have is stop showing us the fucking car and make it already.
Right.
I want one.
Yeah.
I want an FT1. Want.
Yeah.
It weighs 2,900 pounds. It has 485 horsepower.
It's sick as fuck?
And allegedly, I think I was reading somewhere that after it gets broken in, they raise the horsepower. I don't know. Maybe that's a bullshit story, or maybe that's something on a video game, Gran Turismo or something. But, I mean, the car was there. It was in a horrible graphite color, in my opinion. I didn't really care for it. But the car is so sweet. And I really, truly want one. I want Toyota to make one. I hope somebody from Toyota maybe listen to this podcast, because I will absolutely buy one. In fact, if somebody from Toyota is listening to this podcast right now, I will give you $10,000 cash under the table to get me one. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference, but hey, I'll give it a shot because I really want that car. It is beautiful. And the Acura NSX, it's an okay looking car. I thought it had a lot of styling cues from the like the Audi R8. But one thing really bothered me, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this at the show or at the car that was on display.
I think you're the only person that noticed it, and bravo for noticing it, because both Gabe and I were both like, because, Seth comes to us and he's like, I don't know about that NSX. And we're like, why? It's pretty hot. And he's like, yeah, but, and then he drops this bomb on us, and we're both like, wait a second, how do we not see that? And then it's so obvious. It's like that thing that somebody shows you, and then you're like, okay, now it's impossible for me not to see it.
And what it was is on the driver's side door, about 4 inches under the door handle, there is a keyhole, a keyway in the door to put a key in. I don't know why it's there. I don't know what designer thought that was appropriate. I haven't seen a keyway like that in a door in so many years. I mean, my Jeep Grand Cherokee doesn't even have a keyway like that.
It doesn't.
It's crazy.
And I mean, everybody has keyless entry. Why do we even have a keyhole?
It's really bizarre. I don't know if that was just a prototype flaw or something like that. It's just really weird to me. It wasn't like they took a door off an Acura TL and threw it on there, because the TL doesn't have it. So why does an Acura NSX,
right, which is a supercar,
which is just
it's not a commuter,
Japanese supercar,
right,
going to have a keyway in the door? To me, it just did not make any sense whatsoever. I thought if I was Acura, I'd be embarrassed. So Acura, if you're listening, I will not buy that hunk of shit.
Wow, those are strong words there, Seth.
Thank you.
Maybe they should, address you as Lord Seth also.
Well, if they
Although
did,
after that review, I think it's highly doubtable.
If they did, I might consider buying one.
Oh, wow.
No, I would never buy one. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good-looking car. I think it's probably going to wind up being overpriced. They're not going to sell. Just like the original NSX didn't sell, hence the reason why they're so popular now and the price has gone up. But, I mean...
It was also drastically underpowered.
There was a time, though, when there were dealers stuck with, like, the NSXT.
Yes.
What was that, 99? The NSXT?
Yep.
I think it was like the last year. They were just sitting. I remember there was an Acura dealer up here was sitting in the showroom.
2001, I think, was the last year for the NSX.
I mean, it was sitting up here for like 2 years in the showroom. They couldn't sell the damn thing.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what route it's going to go now, but I think Toyota will do better with the FT1 than Acura will do with the NSX. That's for sure. But, I mean, we went by the Lexus also, and we saw the new RCF F-Type.
The race car we saw.
We saw the race car, right,
which was sick to death.
Yeah, but we also saw the regular one, which I think is a very cool car. I think they were going for the whole GTR look per se, that whole area of cars, something to compete with those. And I think they definitely accomplished it. But as you pointed out earlier when we were talking, it's an extremely heavy car.
Yes.
But the styling is there. It's a hot car. It's got a really good stance.
4,045 pounds. I mean, that makes the GTR look light.
Well, the GTR is what, 38, 39?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, a couple 100 pounds does make a considerable difference. But, we were actually walking down the aisle when Manhattan Motor Cars was setting up their display. Now, Manhattan Motor Cars recently became a Koenigsegg and Bugatti dealer. So they had on display a new Bugatti, was it the Grand Vitesse?
They had
a Bugatti Grand Vitesse. Vitesse,
carbon fiber, blue carbon fiber.
Right, which was, they stopped producing that car, so that was one of the last ones. And then they also brought in an extremely rare and awesome Koenigsegg, it's actually pronounced Agera, I found out.
Agera, right?
HH. And everybody kept saying, what is the HH? What is the HH? Now, of course, I had to sit there and Google it and figure out what the HH meant. The HH is the initials of the owner. It belongs to David Heinemeier Hansen. He's a Danish programmer who created the popular Ruby on Rails web development framework and the Sticky Wiki.
The hell is that?
I have no fucking clue. But he has a Koenigsegg Agera HH and a Pagani Zonda HH.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, listen, at this point, when you got a Zonda, who gives a fuck what the HH stands for? Heavy hitter.
Yeah.
Helly Hansen. Whatever.
Heavy hitter, whatever, Heinemeier Hansen, it all works. But the Agera S has their 1,030 horsepower, 5-liter twin-turbo V8, has a top speed of 272 miles an hour. Claimed.
Retarded.
Yes. So
Where are you going that fast?
the car was there. They loaded it. They had it on display. The most impressive thing about the car, there's two very impressive things about the car for me. One, the carbon fiber wheels were off the wall.
They were. And they were hollow.
Full hollow carbon fiber wheels. Absolutely stunning. In person, they looked amazing.
And it was dry carbon fiber, so it was so nice. The rip. Yeah, this vodka's strong. The lip, the spokes, the barrels, everything carbon fiber.
And then I happened to notice after they had parked it, when the door was open, inside in the center console was the key to the car. Now, some of these cars have just a key fob. My Spiker, for instance, has a key fob, like they call it a puck, and you have to keep it in your pocket, and that enables all the electronics in the car. Well, the Koenigsegg has their version of a puck, which is probably about, I don't know, it's probably about the size of my fist. And it's pretty big, and this particular one is fully diamond encrusted.
Yeah.
And it's worth something like $150,000 just for the
key to this guy's car is worth more than your existence.
Yeah. My existence?
Yeah, we weren't talking about you, Dubai Lord.
Lord Seth. So that was really cool to check out. We were there while they were loading and everything. We got some really good pics of it, and it is a one-of-a-kind car. And I was happy to see that it was at the show, and that Manhattan Motor Cars had such a nice display with a Huracan, Aventador, the Bugatti, as well as the Koenigsegg Agera, which, if nobody knows yet, but I had the inside scoop, Manhattan Motor Cars sold the only Agera 1.1 coming to North America was sold through that dealership. It has not been brought over yet. It hasn't been completed yet, but it did sell, and it went for a hefty price tag of $3 million.
Meh. Chump change to this guy over here.
Yeah. Chump change.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford $300,000.
Oh my God! Here
car.
we go. But how much he can't afford?
It just doesn't.
Oh
end.
boy.
All right, I'm so broke I can't pay attention.
Oh my
But
God! He's full of corny jokes too.
All right, so let's finish up with the show. We saw a couple of other cars. One was the Aston Martin Vulcan, which turns out was kind of a dud because when T-Minus went to go take a picture of the interior, he was like, what did you say?
I was like, where's the interior? I mean, it was cardboard. Literally, it looked like a Hollywood movie set in there.
Yeah, it was, it's just a rolling body of artwork, which will probably...
It was sick.
Yeah, but it'll probably never be produced. I'm so sick of looking at cars that are just not going to be produced.
The taillights look like Light Bright. Remember Light Bright?
Yeah, I do. I never played with one. Maybe you did.
You ever play with a Light Bright?
No, I never did.
Oh, you just play with yourself.
Yes, all the time. Still do. Anyway, sometimes when you go to these shows, like, you're looking at these concept cars, this and that, it's never going to be built, so who gives a shit?
I know. Sucks.
I just I
can't
waste my
ridiculous.
time. One big disappointment of the show for me was Porsche. I thought Porsche had a very weak display.
So did I.
They had no GT3. They had no GT3 RS. They had no Cayman GT4.
They had no 918.
No 918.
They had nothing there.
All they had was this new
That
Porsche
new Spider.
Boxster Spider,
Right.
which is a cool chick car.
Right.
You know, it's like a chick's Porsche, which is nothing wrong with that. Listen, if my chick was driving a Porsche, I'd be freaking proud.
Right, absolutely.
You know, if my chick was driving an SLK, I'd be proud. You know,
I don't know about that.
I got nothing wrong with it. I got nothing
I don't
against
know.
an SLK.
Your girl's Audi's pretty tough.
Tough. It's an Audi A4.
Yeah, but it's got, didn't you do stuff? You blacked out the rims and the roof and...
Little couple of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing crazy.
Looks
but
better than SLK. I don't know. SLK is all right if it's AMG.
still, if it's a chick, it's a chick.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Then we went to one of the biggest unveilings of that day, which actually surprised me how many people packed in to see this car. And I don't know if they packed in to see the car or to get the free lunch.
Right.
Because they were giving out a free box lunch.
They were like killing each other for this box lunch.
I've never seen people scavengers. I mean, they were climbing on top of each other, ready to kill each other.
Meanwhile, we're talking about everybody there is in like a full-on suit, like at a board meeting, and they were literally killing themselves for Tickle Me Elmo and the box lunch.
Tickle me. Yeah, it was like the Cabbage Patch doll rage. It was just crazy.
It was, honestly, it was stupid. And all they had by the time we got there was vegetable wraps. And I'm allergic to eggplant, and I didn't know eggplant was in it, and I almost died.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get him to eat it just so he wouldn't have it.
He was like, yeah, eat up.
So anyway, so that was the unveiling of the Subaru STI Performance Coupe.
Right.
No.
Oh, well, yeah.
See,
well, it's based on the BRZ, right.
We're still arguing over this because TMINUS said, no, that was the BRZ, but it did not say BRZ.
Right.
It's maybe,
it said STI concept.
Right, performance concept. It is based loosely on the BRZ. It had the same similar lines, but this car was painted in a matte blue finish, which was absolutely ridiculously stunning.
Yeah, it was hot.
It was very, very hot. It was
Big brakes, big Brembos, Recaro race seats. It had a flat-bottomed Alcantara steering wheel. It had red gauges. It had, I'm pretty sure they were BBS-CH stock rims. And it had this crazy headlight that was like, it looked like a honeycomb, like a beehive. It was all little hexagons that you shine the HID or the LED through. Sick.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. I mean, I loved the car. I thought it was a really sexy car. I thought it was, I think they borrowed some stuff maybe from the GTR a little bit. But, I mean, it's a Subaru. It's going to be, an all-wheel drive monster if it ever goes into production, which I can't see it not being a production car.
Right.
I mean,
it wasn't that far-fetched.
No.
Right.
What we saw was basically a pre-production car.
Right.
In my opinion, it had a great ass to it with the tailpipes.
Oh, right, carbon fiber diffuser.
Yeah.
It had the nav antenna, which is like the BMW Shark nav antenna with a light in the back of it. It was sick. That was the third brake light.
Oh yeah,
was in the nav
right.
antenna.
Pointed that out. That was really cool. And so, I mean, hats off to Subaru. I actually tipped my hat to the speaker for Subaru. They actually had one of the guys from Japan on stage reading from a teleprompter. But, man, this guy was...
It was like listening to the Yakuza.
He was struggling with the English, but he made it through it. And I'll tell you, if I was him, I'd be sweating. That would be like me in Japan giving a representation, and Japanese writing is coming over a teleprompter, like phonetically spelled out, and I was just like choking on words.
Yeah.
This guy got through it, and it made it very authentic, though.
Super authentic, because
that's what was cool
a lot of
about
the other companies
were British guys.
had British guys.
Yeah.
And then like they had an American guy from Boston, with the Boston accent representing Range Rover. And you're like, what? Like, you don't want to buy Indian food from Japanese people. You want to buy Indian food from Indian people.
Right.
Japanese food from Japanese people. Same thing when you're buying a car. Or when you're listening to any kind of technological developments of the manufacturers.
Right. So it made you feel very authentic, and that it was real and it was heartfelt.
Yeah.
So... Subaru did a nice job. I'll tell you, I think that was the most photographers in one spot.
Absolutely.
Throughout the whole day.
Forget it. They filled up the entire hall. Like they forgot about, I guess, who else was there? Scion was there. Who was in the back? Fiat was there.
Scion, Fiat, Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi was there. No one was at any of their booths.
Yeah, that was a weak hall. What was that, the North Hall?
North Hall, right.
Yeah,
it was very weak this year.
It was pretty weak back there.
Last year they had Cadillac there. They had a bunch of manufacturers. And I'm not positive, but I think 2 floors. This year, it was like, eh.
Yeah, it was definitely very weak. There was nothing too exciting back there. I mean, the most exciting thing was the Subaru.
Subaru, right.
So.
And Subaru's models. And by models, I don't mean women. I mean the old 22B WRC car was there. And the WRC Bug-Eye was there. And they were very strong presence in that hall.
And then there's 2 more vehicles that I want to talk about. One was an unveiling, which was done the day before was like a little preview, and then it was actually unveiled the day that we were there. We didn't actually see the unveiling, but I read up on it, and I think that this car is going to stomp on Ferrari, not really Maserati, but Ferrari and Lamborghini. I think this car is going to really make a difference in the exotic car world. And I've actually considered pulling the trigger on one and maybe get rid of the spiker, because it is a great, phenomenal, in my opinion, bang for the buck, the new McLaren 570S. I don't think you can go wrong with this car. It's exotic. It has the doors that everybody loves because what do? They go up.
Right.
Okay. The starting price is $180,000. It's 562 horsepower. The claimed top speed is 204 miles an hour. It's a 3.8 liter twin turbo V8 with a 7-speed transmission. I don't think you can go wrong with that. The new Huracans are, well over 200,000. A Ferrari 458 or the 488, well over into the high 2s, low 3s. How could you go wrong for a McLaren limited production car, brand new, for $180,000? How?
How? The only thing is, it looks so similar to the 650 PS, so similar to the MP412C, which is now outdated, and the P1.
Okay, and all those cars were $300,000.
Yep. P1 was almost $2 million. Yep.
Right. This is over $100,000 less.
Right.
For nearly the same performance.
Right.
Still with a 3.8 liter twin turbo V8. I don't know if they were just able to bring down the cost by mass producing. I don't know if they were able to get better tooling, better suppliers. Whatever they did, kudos to them for making it under $200,000, because I think they are really going to make a mark with this.
Really?
I really do. I know that people have ordered them already. I know that I have already consulted with McLaren myself. And I'm telling you right now, I think this is a super attractive car for that
the
price
back
range.
is almost identical to the P1 with the LEDs.
Listen, when you start talking about those cars, now I sit here and say $180,000, and a lot of the listeners are like, yeah, you fucking rich fuck, $180,000, yeah, no big fucking deal. But I'm talking about when you're looking at cars that are $50,000, and there are shit boxes for $50,000, and there are beautiful cars for $50,000.
Right.
If you look at a car for $10,000, you can find a nice car for $10,000, a shit box for $10,000.
Right.
For $180,000, relatively speaking, I think this is the best bang for the buck. There is a ton of carbon fiber. It's a carbon fiber tub, for Christ's sake. It's a beautiful car. It's $180,000. Do you realize the Lamborghini Gallardo in 2004, okay, when that hit the market, I think it was $169,000. We're talking about 12 years later.
Right.
12 years later, and everything always goes up.
Right, totally.
Okay? Because the Lamborghini Gallardo started out at $159. What is it at today, the Huracan? $250? It's talking almost $100,000 more. This car's $180,000. It's just slightly north of what a Gallardo was in 2004. And with the new technology and with the reliability, I think this is going to topple the other manufacturers.
Wow.
I really do. I know it's a big claim.
It is.
And it
Seems worthy, though.
I mean, listen, McLaren's proven their worth. The MP412C, yes, they've dropped drastically in price, without a doubt. I think that car was overpriced, but I think McLaren may have gotten it this time. I think maybe they said to themselves, you know what? We overpriced that car. The car took a shit. This car for $180,000, this car cannot drop to $100,000 in a year.
No.
right? I mean, a McLaren was 300 grand. They dropped down to 160, 170, 180.
Mm-hmm.
This car at 180 will not drop down to 100.
I don't think so.
So I think this is a good equation for them. And, look, who knows? Maybe they're not making any money on it.
So what do? Do they phase out the other two models?
No, well, they're keeping the 650, and they're keeping the P1. Well, the P1 was a limited production. But the P1 is a monster supercar.
That's it. Yeah, that's an
$2 million.
Right.
That's totally. It's a different. That's like comparing a LaFerrari to a 458. You just can't.
Right. You can't. Right.
So, but I think I don't know. I really like it. I think they did a great job. I think their price point is right there, and I think they're going to sell a lot of them. And that's my only hesitation of buying one, because if they do sell a lot of them, I don't want to be another Mustang.
You don't want to be a Me Too car. Right.
So, but that was really cool. I enjoyed looking at that car and checking it out. And I think, like I said, I think it's going to do very well. And then we'll get to the car that I bought.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
I didn't spend a lot of money, though.
Oh, God.
You're
so nice.
We stumbled across something that was really cool. And
I don't know. They're saying it's the safest car in America in its class.
Right.
But there's nothing else in its class.
Not true.
What's in its class?
My Slingshot.
Okay, so it's safer than your Slingshot. What else you got?
A T-Rex.
Okay.
A Morgan.
T-Rex? T-Rex is like a coffin.
A Morgan.
Okay, a Morgan. How many people own those?
I know.
One person, and
Alex
you know
Roy.
him. Exactly.
So this is called the Elio. Some of you may have seen it out there. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it's cool, if it's dorky, if it's neat or what. But it's similar to a car. It's enclosed. It's a tandem passenger vehicle. It has a little trunk. It has a small motor. And allegedly it gets 84 miles to the gallon. And it's cheap.
It's beyond cheap. It's like free.
It's $6,800. Okay, supposedly it's going to be warranted and maintained by Pep Boys, which I don't know how that comes into play.
Maintained by which aisle? Aisle 4? Aisle 5?
I don't know. It was kind of funny because I said to them, I said, fine, I'll take one. I'll take it now. Do you take American Express? And they looked at me like, well, this is pre-production.
They're like, okay, we weren't ready for that response.
You could sit in it if you want and check it out. And I sat in it, and I got to tell you, it had some room.
They didn't know you were Lord Darth Vader.
Yeah, but it's got a top speed of over 100 miles an hour, which is kind of ballsy in that thing. It's 0 to 60 in 9.6 seconds. It's 55 horsepower, 55 foot-pounds of torque. Has an 8-gallon tank at 84 miles per gallon. It's like 700.
I want to see you do a road trip in this. You know what? Honestly, you should get Ed Bolian. He'll sit behind you like a fighter jet.
You'll be like Top Gun. Instead of Top Gun, we'll be like
You'll be like
Logan.
Top Bum.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be the top bums. I mean, you know what? I would do it.
So let's get Ed Bolian back.
You know what would be cool, though? Think about this.
He's not going to fit in this.
Wait.
He's 6'5".
No, he would fit.
He's not fitting.
There's plenty of room.
Oh, yeah, plenty. You're like 5'1".
Okay, I'm not 5'1". 5'11", you dick. But listen to this. Listen. What's really cool is you won't have to, fuel up that much. And no matter how long it takes us to get to California, it'll still be a world record.
Because it's the first one in its class.
In a 3-wheel.
Right.
So it'll still work.
You should call Guinness and see if they'll support it.
Now, it's got ABS brakes. It's a fuel-injected, 3-cylinder, 0.9-liter, liquid-cooled automotive engine. It's not a motorcycle engine. It's an automotive engine. But because it's a 3-wheel, it actually gets classified as a motorcycle, just like the Slingshot. The Slingshot's got a regular automotive engine. Now, it comes in both automatic or stick. It has air conditioning and heat, AM/FM stereo, power windows, power door lock, 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Comes in a multitude of colors, which I don't care because I'll just wrap it. But I thought it was the coolest little thing in the world. I would definitely rock this 24/7. I would drive this thing daily. For $6,800, it's cheap as hell. It's got the highest safety standards, and it's American made. And they actually took over. I was reading, I was so intrigued by this stupid thing. But they took over a GM plant that went out of business. I think it was in New Orleans right outside New Orleans or something like that. And
Wow.
yeah, and
Thank you, Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, and they're going to be building these things. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. Check it out online. It's eleomotors.com.
Honestly, for the money, it's incredible. Like, it's incredible because we're old, bro. A couple decades ago, the Yugo came out. And the Yugo was supposed to be the cheapest car ever. And
Do you remember how much it was?
I think.
I know
I
what
could
the
be
price tag
wrong.
was.
Of course, because you probably had one.
No.
I think it was like $4,700.
It's $39.90.
Okay, $39.90.
Yeah.
This thing was built with like matchsticks, gum, and like rubber bands.
It was.
It was awful.
I had a teacher in high school who had one, and after like school practice or something like that, like one of the sports, he said that he would give us a ride home. So we went to get in it. And when you fold the seat forward, the seat didn't like recline.
Yeah, no.
It was the whole seat that went forward. And when you put it up, you saw all the springs and everything under the seat.
Dude, they had option packages, which were like FM radio.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't like moonroof and traction control. This thing was like option package, door handle.
It was like you only got one key with the car. You want a second key? Okay, if you want a second key.
And what's crazy is that this new Elio is traction control and stability control and coilovers and climate control and all this other crap. And it looks cool for $6,800.
Now, Yugo didn't have power windows.
You can't even get a
Didn't have power
stretched,
door locks.
dropped Honda Ruckus for $6,800.
Yeah,
this thing's cool.
I think it's definitely a cool little car. It's got I think they have over 40,000, it was saying online, over 40,000 reservations for them. Because they're taking deposits online for anywhere from, that's kind of weird. I mean, this is like a real, almost like a crowdfunding thing they're doing, because you can reserve one for $100, but if you're $100, you go on the back of the list. If you do 500, you go to the middle of the list, and 1,000, you go to the front of the list.
Yeah, but I just feel like they're not going to be able to produce anywhere near as many as people are going to order for that price.
I don't know. They're saying it's $6,800. It's profitable.
I don't even understand.
They offer a whole bunch of things, too. They offer, I think, navigation, backup camera, exhaust tips.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Front
Honestly,
chin spoiler, rear diffuser, trunk
honestly, you
cover.
guys, Google this thing. Elio, ELIO Motors.com.
Yeah, check it out. I would jump on board. I've got my deposit in. Of course, I went for one of the... I gave a big deposit so I can get on the front of the line. Not that that's going to help. They probably just...
A big deposit. This guy, like, either has lunch at Del Frisco's or he buys a car.
So I thought it was just a cool thing. I sat in it. I liked it. And for $6,800, I'm going to take a shot. It's like the price... Listen, it's the price of an expensive scooter.
Yeah. Except you can drive it in the rain.
I could buy...
The only thing is...
slingshots. For
the only thing
price
is
of
your girl has to sit behind you and you can't finger blast her while you drive.
Right. I didn't take that into consideration. I really didn't.
You're a virgin. It's okay.
All right, so that's a wrap-up of the New York International Auto Show. I had a great time. Special thanks to Gabe and TMINUS for inviting me. It was a great experience. I look forward to next year's. I hadn't been to the auto show in quite a few years because I kind of got bored with it because it really didn't turn me on. Everything you saw was basically on TV.
Right.
You know, or on Jalopnik or something like that. But to get up close and personal and to speak with a lot of the representatives while it wasn't crowded was entertaining. And, you know, I also saw a lot of people that I knew that I hadn't seen in years. Some notable people in the automotive industry. There were a bunch of people from Jalopnik there that I hadn't seen in a while. A couple of producers.
Right. Shout out to Jalopnik.
Yeah.
Who supports everything that CarLifestyle does.
Big
we
shout
love
out.
them.
Jalopnik, you're our friend.
Absolutely.
And actually, I talked to one of the head guys from Jalopnik who they're starting a video channel, or they started it, which it was launched, I think, right after April 1st, which now they want to do a couple of videos with me with a couple of my cars. So that's going to be kind of cool for us and CarLifestyle and the podcast and everything as a whole. So we look forward to doing that with them. I want to touch on a couple of more things, and then we're going to get wrapped up here. I mean, we're moving along. There's one thing we never really talk about, and we'll start talking about week to week, and those are notable YouTube videos. Now, you know, these videos of car crashes or things or races and things like that, they all go viral so quick now. I mean, you see them on Facebook. People are reposting and reposting, and before you know it, these things have 3, 4, 5 million hits. It's amazing.
Yeah, but they got no shelf time. It's like you see it. It's stupid hot for 24 hours. Maybe hot for 42, 72, but by the end of that, then it's kind of like, okay, what's next?
Well, the one that I want to talk about is a Lexus that was built for drag racing that crashed on a drag strip. Did you see that one?
I did it actually, and I'm kind of familiar with Econo Racing out of Dubai.
Oh, good, because I'm not at all.
Oh, well, they're like legitimate, no budget, oil money, chic, like.
So this happened in Dubai?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. You know what? I really didn't pay attention. I didn't know where it happened. All I know is that somebody built. This sounds so silly. A 3,000. That's right, not 300, but 3,000 horsepower Lexus ISF.
Right. Which
Now,
we're talking.
That car stock is 450, I think. Or is it 500 even?
I think it's 450. Yeah.
It's either 450 or 500 horsepower, whatever it is. It is a far cry from 3,000 horsepower. What possessed anyone to put 3,000 horsepower in his car is beyond my imagination.
Dubai. It's just Dubai. That's how you explain it. Just because Dubai in itself is a novelty. It's a city with water built in the middle of a desert. A hot desert.
With a lot of oil.
With a lot of oil. Right. And that's the only way you can really explain it. It was full carbon fiber. It had like a, 36-point cage in it. Absolutely balls to the wall, no limit, no budget build.
Where do you get 3,000 horsepower from?
Turbo.
How big of a turbo does this thing have? I mean, was it the size of the car?
Twin turbos.
That's crazy.
I don't know the size of the turbos, but I feel like for 3,000 horsepower, maybe they were like 115 millimeter turbos. Like, absolutely out of control.
So
Parachute, slicks, tubbed, the whole nine.
That didn't help much, did it? Now,
No.
Do you know, did this car ever run prior to this accident?
Yes.
Oh, it did?
Yes. They have the sickest videos on YouTube with this thing running, with blue flames coming out of both sides of the car, all the way up the track. I don't know if it was 3,000 at that time. Maybe it was only 2,000. But it's absolutely ridiculous to see because they still have the frame, the body of the car. You can still open the 4 doors. They still have the trunk. It looks like an ISF on like the steroids of steroids.
Oh, here, you know what? I just pulled it up. I'll go through this real quick.
Okay.
The car specs. Car features a methanol burning custom Pat Musi 649 cubic inch aluminum V8 with twin Precision Pro Mod 91 turbochargers, feeding air through Precision Turbo PT3000 charged air cooler. It utilizes a Neil Chance torque converter to deliver the power to the ground by way of the Rossler TH400 gearbox. It goes on and on and on. It's tuned by Shane T. Time of the build from scratch took about 4 months. All parts are made in Bahrain by
Econo.
Econo, is that how you say?
Yep.
Econo Racing part of Econo, the Lexus distributor for Bahrain. The car is originally a 2011 Lexus ISF. Most of the body parts are made of fiberglass and some are carbon fiber. Most of the chassis and interior parts are titanium. The roll cage is made of chrome moly. And that is the fact sheet on the car. This thing is absolutely bananas.
Bananas.
It took off, and it made it, what, maybe 1/8 of a mile?
Yeah.
1/16 of
Maybe,
a mile?
yeah, maybe.
And it, I guess...
Launched into outer space. Yeah.
Air got underneath it. A couple of
that.
aliens were pushing it from
Yeah.
behind. And it didn't crash and go off the track. It went over the track.
It went over the entire crash wall.
This went up the wall
Crash
and
fence.
over the crash fence. How tall is that crash fence? 30 feet?
It's got to be 30 feet.
It's got to be like 30 feet high.
25, 30
so it
feet,
launched
yep.
up in the air and went over. If you haven't seen it, Google like 3,000 horsepower Lexus crash.
Or just Google E space KANOO. And you'll see all their ridiculous builds.
I mean, I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
I mean, we're talking, it ran a 5.9 at 240 miles an hour. Quarter mile in 5.9.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you
Yeah,
mix
that's like
3,000 horsepower.
That's like, 3 times less than your mom's minivan.
I mean, I give a lot of credit to the driver. He's got balls of steel.
Oh, forget it. I mean, the cage was extensive.
Yeah, and he survived allegedly without a scratch.
He walked away.
Walked away.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So we'll talk about drag racing this week. And the other drag race that we'll talk about is the new Hellcat Challenger, 707 horsepower, which raced a Tesla full electric 85D sedan.
Yeah, but that thing is like, it's not normal.
What's not normal?
The Tesla.
What's not
Tesla
normal?
was supposed to be like, sporty commuter car. Like, we'll add some sport to the incredible gas mileage. Well, no gas mileage, just mileage, for around town. And then, 0 to 60 in 3.2. What?
Yeah, well, it's a direct drive. I mean, full-on electric motor, and it's got a lot of power to it. And it ran against a Hellcat, and it romped a Hellcat. So that was the first race, and the guy in the Hellcat was just so...
He must have been floored.
So floored so embarrassed that he got beat. He's got a brand new Hellcat, 707 horsepower, American muscle, ready to kick the shit out of some, technologically advanced engineered.
Right, it's like the bully
Duracell
in high
battery,
school against the geek. And the geek's like, "Hey man, my remote control car is faster."
And the Tesla walked him on the first race. Well, just today, they announced that they had a rematch, and the Challenger Hellcat beat him. So he didn't beat him by much, I got to tell you. I think it was like point something seconds. So at the end of the day, I'd still be embarrassed if I was the Hellcat.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Hellcat...
And the Tesla's so unassuming. It doesn't look like the Hellcat. Hellcat is pretty beefy.
Oh, without
big
a doubt.
hood scoop, big brakes.
In fact, I think I'm looking at the time slips. Yeah, let's see, time slip was... Yeah. Quarter mile was 11.69 for the Hellcat and 11.683 for the Tesla.
Ridiculous.
The Tesla hit 114.6 miles an hour and the Hellcat hit 115.18. But the Tesla beat it. And that was the first race. And, I'm sure if they raced again, they'd flip-flop. It's all about reaction time and stuff like that. These cars are so neck and neck. But it's just amazing that one's a full-on electric family sedan, and the other one is a 707 horsepower muscle car.
Right.
And it's just, it's pretty wild to me.
Both of them are wild.
Yeah. I mean, from what I understand, I was just hearing the other day that the Hellcat is sold out.
Which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, it is, because somebody was kind of had their hopes built on one. But
I did. I was really thinking on the way to meeting you today, Jesus Christ, I'm going to buy a new, because I've had an NSX and I've had a few cars. I'm going to buy a new serious car, and it's American. Like, that's unlike me. Usually I'm German or I'm Japanese. American? What? But the Hellcat Charger is so ridiculous. Sub 3 second quarter mile. Or sub 3 second 0 to 60. A 10.8 quarter mile and 204 mile an hour top speed for 60K.
But let me ask you a question. Who really gives a fuck anymore about 0 to 60?
Not too many people. Now it's 60 to 120.
Right, because 60 to 130, whatever it is, that measurement. But the 0 to 60 is so insignificant, I think, these days.
It just means something to me because that's what I grew up on,
Right. Well, yeah, no, we did. Everybody was fighting for that extra half a second and whatnot. Right. But now, I mean, I think...
it's like the benchmark, and maybe it's being outphased by these new cars that are...
It almost doesn't matter what you buy. Everything's 5 seconds or under these days.
Right.
But, which brings up, talking about the drag racing brings up something interesting. We had one of our listeners write into us. His name is Tom Halu. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
I think it might be Helu.
Helu.
But I'm not positive either.
Helu, Tom.
We don't want to insult you.
Right. Tom's question is... I'd like to see you guys talk about is the lack of racing facilities on Long Island. Long Island, that's in New York, has such a strong automotive community and a long history of racing. why no track? And I can answer that. The answer is politics. The answer is that all the communities do not want loud noise. They don't want the ruckus. They don't want the noise. They don't want the traffic backing up.
They don't want the traffic, right.
They don't want all that bullshit.
Right.
And the fact is, there was actually right here, out here in Freeport, Long Island, many years ago, there was a small track. That was a small oval track. I think it was actually like an eighth of a mile. I used to go there as a kid with my father for like the demolition derbies. There was a track out in West Hampton and a track in West Hampton had a drag strip.
You sure it's not Bridgehampton?
West Hampton had a drag strip.
I know what I heard. Thank you very much.
Bridgehampton had a road course.
Oh.
And Riverhead still has I think an eighth of a mile oval track. Now, of course, there's not much you can do with an eighth of a mile oval track, and the reason why they keep it small is to keep the noise down, the crowd control, and things of that nature. West Hampton had a drag strip, which they got rid of, and they built condos out that way. Bridgehampton, I know at one point, I think they might have made a golf course out there. I raced at Bridgehampton when I was like 18, 19 years old. I had my, I think I had a Porsche 911 back then.
He was so poverty-stricken.
Oh, God.
What a hard life.
So
I had a Metro card.
I paid for everything on my own, you jerk. So anyway, I saved all my money. I worked my ass off.
Yo,
I didn't grow up with
drugs
a
are a
silver
hard
spoon.
business.
Yeah. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. Mine was bronze.
Yeah, his shit was gold.
Yeah. So, remember that show, Silver Spoons?
Oh, yeah, Ricky Schroeder. Who else is on that? Wait. Alyssa Milano was on what? Oh, Who's the Boss?
Who's the boss?
She was hot.
She was
So hot.
She was hot.
Forget about it.
She was a Long Island hottie. She's from Long Island.
What?
She was born and raised in Roslyn.
Get out of here.
Yes. Alyssa Milano.
Oh, man, I got other things to say.
So anyway, yeah, I raced on that track, but that track had a problem with deer. We would come around, come around the chicane, and all of a sudden,
That's not funny.
A 7-pointer would be coming out of
it's not funny.
across the track.
Oh, my God.
And a couple of guys had some serious accidents out
Yeah,
there.
you're so dead.
And every once
Yeah.
in a while, you'd hear gunshots because it was legal to hunt there.
Wow.
Yeah, they had a special open season on a certain amount of time, and we used to go there and race. All of a sudden, you hear bang, 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 and I'm like, all right, you guys can go at this lap. I'll sit out.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty. But so the reason behind no tracks is it's all politics. They don't want the crowds. They don't want the traffic. They don't want the noise, even though it'll bring a ton of revenue. In fact, I put a plan together a few years back. I spent a lot of money trying to get this done. Calverton Airport. It's not being used. There's only one person that uses it out there, which is that Skydive,
Right.
Long Island.
Right.
Which unfortunately,
Town of Riverhead owns it.
yeah, they had a fatal accident there not too long ago.
Did they?
Yeah, actually, an off-duty cop did
man.
a skydiving accident and died. But anyway, put that aside. There's only people that rent it. There's a couple of trucking companies that rent some space in there. The airstrip is not used whatsoever except for skydive. And I offered them $1 million. I had investors to give them $1 million to lease it for 5 years. I would prepay it. And I would put up to $2 million into renovating it. Renovating the airstrip, repaving, curbing, the whole 9 yards. I wanted to make it a testing ground and also do airport runway events.
That would have been so sick.
It's a 2-mile runway.
Yeah. It's
huge.
ridiculous. Yeah.
If people don't know how big it is, Google it. In fact, they used that land after Hurricane Sandy to store all the cars.
All the cars, right, that had been washed out, right?
And I don't know if you know what happened with that.
No.
They put all the cars there, and then the DEC came in and said, oh, you're leaving these saltwater infected cars growing mold and everything over marshland. You have to move them.
So where did they put them all?
They had to just shift them
To where?
to another part of the land.
Bullshit, because I've been over there since that time, and I don't see them.
Oh, no, they're gone now.
Oh.
But I'm saying at the time.
Oh, I see.
They had packed 300,000 cars
Yes.
in there. Okay.
Literally, we're not talking 30,000. We're not talking 3,000.
300,000
Literally,
cars.
300,000 cars in one area.
And then all of a sudden they had to move them. And a lot of them got
I didn't
moved.
know that.
And a lot of them got moved to Jersey. Yeah, believe it or not, funny enough, Englishtown Raceway Park rented out their facility because it was off season.
Right.
They rented out, and a lot of the cars got moved there.
Oh,
so
wow.
the insurance
Oh, I
company
didn't
was
know
able
that.
to get rid of them all. But that's the whole reason behind tracks. I mean, it's all bureaucracy. I think it's foolish, of course, because I love cars.
Right.
I wish I would have made a deal with the airport. That would have been amazing because I saw a lot of potential in renting it to manufacturers for testing.
Absolutely.
You know, I know that like Bentley, Lamborghini, they do a lot of events where they want to give their owners the experience,
Right.
let
Like
them drive the
Nürburgring.
car.
Right.
Right, but just to give potential customers the option to drive the car in a controlled environment
With an
to
instructor.
speed, with
Right.
an instructor, without having any people on the street and any type of
Totally
hazards.
private. Like Monticello does, right.
And no hazards, and give the person the feel of the car, and it would have been a great venue for that. And I even offered them a profit share. I tried everything, and all they kept saying was, "Nope, nope, nope." So I gave up. I spent a lot of money trying to do it, and it just never happened. So that's the answer to your question, Tom. And I'm glad you wrote in. If anybody else wants to write in, we'll be answering one question for each podcast. I don't want to get into too many. We have some other questions. I don't want to get into too many because I don't want to bore you with that. But that was a listener's question, and we're glad you wrote into us. We will touch real quick on one more item, which everybody's been talking about. We talked about it on 2 podcasts ago, and it's been worldwide news that Top Gear is dead.
Right.
Top Gear, there's a problem with Jeremy Clarkson. Supposedly he assaulted a producer, and they were putting him on suspension, and eventually they fired him. And all I could say is, shit happens. Am I going to miss the show? To a certain extent. Did I think it was getting a little stale? Absolutely. So I wouldn't, I really, it doesn't bother me that it got canceled. There's going to be so many reruns, and every time you watch it, it seems like you're watching it for the first time.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of those shows. And truthfully, I think there's a future for Jeremy Clarkson and Hammond and what's the other
May.
guy?
James May.
James May. I think they definitely have a future. People were talking about them doing something on Netflix. I think it would be great to see them do something on Netflix
On their own. Yeah.
or Hulu or something like that. And something that's not censored whatsoever, and they can really tell us how they feel.
It might be a bit racial.
They might cross some lines, but you know what? It's up to them if they want to cross it or not. I choose to watch it or not, and so does everybody else.
Right.
And so Top Gear, we bid you farewell. You had a long run. It was a successful show. And,
It was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah.
And you know what? I enjoy the reruns at this point. And the only thing that it probably won't really bother me or a lot of people for about a year until the new models of cars come out that they're not able to see them test.
Right.
Like
True.
everybody's looking forward to the testing of I think it was the 918, the LaFerrari, and the P1.
Right.
Everybody was really looking forward to that, and I think that was a big bummer for a lot of people. But I always liked seeing the everyday cars.
We have a lot of other talent. Chris Harris, for one.
Yeah.
I like to watch his reviews.
But in Top Gear, I like to watch the cars that were obtainable for me,
Right.
because then I could really
Right. You can hone in on what you
help
need.
you make a decision.
Absolutely.
So I thought that was kind of cool. So again, Top Gear, sorry to see you go.
Absolutely.
Good luck to you all. If you all want to be on the podcast, we welcome you. This is not censored. You can say whatever the fuck you want. You can say whatever racial comments you want. Not that I will support it.
Yeah, and just bring your gun. You'll be good.
You'll be fine. Just don't make fun of us as dumb Americans.
Well, you can make fun of Seth as a dumb American.
Thanks.
I was born in Ireland, so we're good.
Right. So
Except that the producer he punched in the face was Irish.
was he really?
Yeah. And he called him something like a dumb Mick or
Really?
something like that.
Go
yeah.
eat your potatoes and cabbage or something?
Yeah, it was something along those lines. And the guy was like, okay, you're fired.
Wow.
Yeah,
That kind of sucks.
does.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, but I won't say that to you, and I won't punch you in the face.
Oh, thank you so much.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. So, anyway, we're gonna do our sounding board like we always do, and we're gonna do this week what annoys me about the auto world. So, T-Minus, do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I don't know. You start. Let me see how you're going with it.
In what direction I'm going?
Yeah.
Okay. What annoys me about the auto world is something I touched on before, and I'll continue with it now. What annoys me is when a manufacturer announces a car, unveils a car, and keeps the same damn prototype on display for years.
Hence the
FT1.
FT1, right.
Produce the fucking thing. If you're not going to, move on. I don't want to see it anymore. I really don't. I mean, the FT1, I said it before, it's a hot car. It caught everybody's attention. Everybody's like, holy shit, the new Supra, this is going to be so cool. So many cars became iconic because they didn't sell. Because people didn't know what they were.
The rarity, the exclusivity. Yeah.
But you know what? A Supra wasn't an exclusive car. It was an expensive Toyota that nobody bought.
Right. Which then gained incredible cult fame after.
Yes.
They stopped making it.
Absolutely.
Just as the E30 M3 did.
Right. So
now other things are starting to take place, like, the Merkur XR4 Ti. And
absolutely. Look at the car I just bought, the Conquest TSI.
Absolutely.
Stuff like that.
Rear-wheel drive, turbo, intercooled, nice.
So, if you're going to flash it around in public and you're going to tote it around and spend millions of dollars, transporting this thing all over the fucking world, get some of your money back already. Build the damn thing.
At least give us a date for when you're going to drop it.
Take deposits.
Yeah.
Do something.
Dude,
I'm so sick of seeing these cars and they don't produce it.
Right. They're not obtainable. So then why do you show us?
You can listen.
It's like going to a restaurant and they're like, okay, this is what the filet mignon looks like tonight, but we only have hot dogs. Why?
I'm sorry, we're out of that tonight.
Yeah, seriously.
But, it's not even that they're out of it. They never produced it. And that's what bothers me. You want to show it 1 year? Okay, fine. Don't keep bringing it around. Don't keep putting it in my face and tempting
Flaunting
me.
it. Right.
And you don't have it.
Right.
So that's what bothers me in the automotive world. Is there anything that bothers you?
I can't think of shit.
You really
but
can't
it might be this vodka. I don't know. A lot of things bother me all the time.
Words of wisdom.
Like doing laundry. I hate doing laundry.
I'd
rather just buy new shit.
I don't do
I
laundry.
really hate... See, you don't do it.
What do you like, Brian Salomon? You just buy new underwear every week?
But I don't look like Liberace. Or Elton John. Yeah, I don't know. I hate doing laundry. I hate when it rains. I wear glasses. I hate when it rains. Why does it have to rain on my glasses? Why can't it rain around me?
You know what? I wear glasses, and every time I get out of the car and they get wet, it is such a pain in the ass. There's no windshield wipers.
There's nothing. And they can't make like a Rain-X lens? I don't get it.
All this technology in this world.
Seriously. Why can't we get like a Never Wet from Rust-Oleum on the lens?
And then it distorts your vision.
My vision's already distorted. Yeah, this alcohol is not helping.
It's not as... See, at the beginning of the podcast, he's very quiet. Couple of sips, he gets a little loud.
Because you know what it is? Seth takes over. And,
now
and
he's just...
He listens, right. And he listens. He talks. And I do agree with him on a lot of points. So it's easy for me to just sit and listen. But obviously, my participation is needed. And he goes on talking. And I think...
Not only is it needed, it's wanted. Aww.
By who? NYPD?
Wasn't that nice? Yeah.
I need something to take the edge off, and that happens to be vodka. I love vodka.
And we've learned that vodka makes the podcast smooth.
Yeah. A little bit of flow. Takes the edge off. I hate rain, and I hate...
Rain on your glasses.
Yes, and laundry. There's other things I hate, but I can't remember what they are.
Well, it's really supposed to be something that annoys you about the automotive world.
I know, but it's such a broad thing. Like, what do I really hate about the automotive world?
No, what annoys you? What bothers you?
Yeah. I don't know if anything
that bothers you?
I don't know. Your example wasn't that great.
It wasn't? I'll tell you what also annoys me.
I agreed with what
you
you
know what annoys me? What annoys me is... especially here, and maybe a lot of people don't experience this in other states or other countries, is that in Long Island or New York specifically, you go to the gas station, and let's say gas is $2.49 a gallon for cash. They have the balls to charge $2.99 a gallon for credit card.
Oh, yeah.
That annoys the shit out of me.
There's a Mobile One at exit 48 of the Long Island Expressway that charges a full $1.50 on top of whatever the cash price is for credit card.
Is criminal.
Ridiculous.
It's criminal.
Honestly, how do you get away with that?
They get away with it, but supposedly they were trying to regulate that.
Like you would think Mobile One would take notice of that.
Dude, that's criminal. Criminal.
$1.50? $1.50?
I mean, typically it's anywhere from 2 to 3%.
That's like a DMV surcharge.
What the credit card companies charge.
You know what? That bothers me. New York State DMV, if you get I think 2 tickets or 3 tickets that total a certain number of points in a 36-month period.
18-month period. 18 month.
18, which is even worse because that's half that, right? They assess you an assessment charge.
A driver
assessment charge.
Yes.
Right. Which my record is not that great. So my assessment fee is $750 a year.
And it fluctuates. It's like 2 years in a row or something, right?
So, like, you do the crime.
After the last time I paid those, I said I'll never do it again.
Right. You hire an attorney, which is money out of your pocket. You pay the fine, and then you have to pay this surcharge on top of the fine. Say the fine is $600. Then you got to pay an additional $750. For what? For what? Crazy.
So we're going to wrap up this podcast, and as usual, we always wrap it up with, our sounding board, and then we give our own personal plugs. So T-Minus, the owner of CarLifestyle, who's partners with Gabe, is going to give us their information. You can find them.
You can find us at CarLifestyle. That's car-lifestyle.com. You can find us at CarLifestyle on Tumblr. Oh, man, this vodka.
Tumblr.
Pinterest. Flickr. Facebook. I think it's CarLifestyle Photography on Facebook. And our most infamous platform, Instagram, at CarLifestyle. CarLifestyle. And there are a bunch of biters. So it's not CarLifestyle plural, it's CarLifestyle singular. There's no S on the end. There's no dash. There's no underscore. No other characters. You can find my personal page at T-minus TMINUS _NYC _CarLifestyle. And you can find Gabe at GABE _CarLifestyle. And follow us and send me a DM if you have any questions and you want to, or you want a shout out for some specific reason. If you're getting married and your reception is going to have the CarLifestyle podcast, we'd love to shout you out. Just hit me with a DM or hit me on Facebook or whatever, and we'll get back in touch with you. Seth?
Thank you, T-Minus.
You're welcome.
Now a word from our sponsor. As a lot of you know, I own several companies. The first one you can find me at is Exotics Rally. That's exoticsrally.com. On Instagram at Exotics Rally, Twitter Exotics Rally, Facebook Exotics Rally. My other company, Art of Wrap, which is WRAP, Art of Wrap, is a vinyl wrapping. We do detailing and all sorts of goodies for cars. You can check out our website at artofwrapny for NewYork.com, Art of Wrap NY on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also find the rally, which is called The Hunt, that I host. It's called thehuntrally.com. That's the web address, and The Hunt Rally on Instagram. We were supposed to have it in May, and it's been postponed to October because of a difficulty with one of the venues. So it's going to be rescheduled for the same weekend we did last year, which is Columbus Day weekend. It seems to work the best for us. So I think going forward, I'm just going to leave it at that. But check out the website. We just put it up. It's got all sorts of pictures and stuff from the event. Again, it's thehuntrally.com. Rally is RALLY. And that's about it. We look forward to bringing you more and more podcasts and more interesting guests in the near future. We've got some cool ones lined up. Stay tuned and tell a friend about the podcast. Post it on your Facebook. Put it on your Twitter. We thrive off of listeners. It's free. There's no cost involved whatsoever.
You don't have to sign up your name. You don't have to write anything down.
And once you download it, it's there forever. It's free. Also, if you have an Android or your friends have an Android, they can use an app. I think it's called Stitcher.
Stitcher, correct.
Yeah, and they can download it there. You can also just Google it. Car Lifestyle Podcast. We're everywhere. Until next time, this is Seth Rose and
Lord T-Minus.
No, it's Lord Seth
No,
Rose.
it's
God
Lord
damn it.
T-minus.
Signing off.
Peace out.
CarLifestyle.